Attorney John Gihon. John, how does he make good on that?
Neil, I don't think the president can make good on it using an executive order or anything else. Catch and release isn't a single policy that can be changed by Congress or can be changed by the president or the federal courts. It's actually a bunch of different policies, laws, and regulations put together. So depending on how you entered into the country to begin with, sometimes you can be released and sometimes you can't. Sometimes the federal courts get involved when we're dealing with children and family units and say you have to be released. So the president isn't going to be able to change this with just the stroke of a pen.
So what I'm curious about, let's say he can, or he can push to find a way to do it. He would have to build, and quickly, because this caravan or caravans are coming. I don't know how many of the thousands who have converged are here by the end of it. In April, it was whittled down considerably, but he talks about tent cities. Who builds those? And seeing as this could take many, many months for people to be processed, how is that run?
I think that's a big problem with trying to end catch and release, is there's only bed space and funding for about 40,000 beds nationwide for people in this situation. And you might end catch and release, but where are you going to put them once you catch them? There's only so much bed space. And if we're talking about tent cities being built on the Mexican side of the southern border, who's going to build them? Are we going to rely on the caravan members to put themselves up in tent cities? So I don't think that's tenable. If it's inside the United States, then we might be talking about the National Guard that's being deployed to the southern border, building tent cities for these individuals. There really isn't much clarity on the president's plan right now.
You know, I was quoting before, John, all the legal immigration that's been happening in this country. 1.1 million in this latest year, might be 1.2 million, 1.1 million last year. It was about that under the average of the 8 Obama years. So obviously, millions are coming in the legal way, the right way. So how do they, or would they feel when they say, all right, get a caravan going, a mass at the border, and you can sort of short-term that entire weight and find a way around it? It would be a little galling, right?
Neil, I do have many clients who have paid a lot of money and tried very hard to do things the right way, and many of them are upset about people who try to jump the line. However, many of the people who are coming over the southern border are escaping some of the worst conditions in the world. And so for true humanitarian reasons, everyone understands that we do need to help people who are fleeing persecution and fleeing torture. However, people don't like it when they're cut in line, when they've tried to do things the right way, and they see others as trying to short-circuit everything.
Now, it's hard to quantify, to your point, very hard to quantify that, but you know this very well. I'm wondering what the breakdown is of legitimate asylum seekers versus those who might just, want to take their luck and take their chances at the border in the United States.
Neil, I couldn't break that down for you. There is a difference between economic refugees who are simply looking for a better life and apply for asylum, and people who truly have been persecuted in the past under our laws. And the only way to figure that out is to give them due process so that you can hear what their story is and determine whether they're credible and they qualify for asylum. And if they do, they should absolutely be granted asylum. And if they don't, well, then they're just going to be ordered removed, and many of them will be deported.
All right, but when they do, when they are caught and they're told to come back for a court date, the process normally means that they never return. It's not always that way. Many do, and go through the process. I don't want to make a general statement about all, but how can we, tighten that up to make sure that those who legitimately seek asylum status because they're worried about their very lives and their families' lives versus those who are looking for economic opportunities?
Right. The individuals who don't have legitimate claims and simply want to get into the United States and then disappear, there are methods, alternatives to detention for dealing with those individuals. We have ankle monitors that ICE deploys on a regular basis to make sure people come to court. And people who have legitimate claims, they do go to court because they know that's the only place that they're ever going to be granted relief and be able to stay. So we have alternatives to detention. We spend millions of dollars of our budget on that, and we need to use it more to make sure that everybody goes to court.
All right, thank you very, very much. We'll see how this all sorts out. We're a long way from that.